Welcome to Next Stop Automation, the podcast where we talk to people from the industry about wins, challenges, the future of operations. Today, we're going to try and find out how companies can survive in that digital age and how companies on the other side can help these companies and position themselves correctly in order to survive that race as well. Today, I'm joined by Simon Burney, someone who's been at the forefront of global technologies, working as the Senior Vice President for TECEZE. Simon, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's great to meet you. So, as I usually ask, that's the first question. Who are you guys? What do you do? And who is your offer especially relevant for?
Okay, so we are called TECEZE, Technology Made Easy. We're a mid-market IT company. We provide managed services. So you think of as a service. So device as a service, procurement as a service, infrastructure as a service. So ranging from the desktop to the data center, helping organizations manage their IT infrastructure as they go on their journey, focusing on their business.
So basically, whenever a company has to deal with digital infrastructure,
yes,
and keeping up with the possibilities that are out there today, they could come to you and you could fulfill all the needs.
We can. We have 30 entities around the world. So we are a global size organization. And we help companies that need to move their technology from where they are to the future, going from paper to digital, from digital to AI, and all the things in between.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about what your specific role is inside of that?
Inside TECEZE, I look after the partner alliances, the OEM relationships, also the global service providers. So those large companies that support large companies with your IT infrastructure. So we look after a number of those, about 20 around the world. And so my job is to bring the harmony together to strengthen the relationship for successful growth, as well as driving net new business into mid-market organizations across Asia.
That's interesting. So you actually provide service providers with a service.
Yes.
Why do companies need that?
Because service providers, the cost of having staff on bench is expensive. And so what service providers do is provide a consistent user interface experience, person and relationship experience, which they then subcontract out to organizations like us, which is smaller, more nimble, more agile, able to do the hard things like deliver machines into Ghana, deliver infrastructure solutions into Oman, which these large organizations, usually more regulated, more restricted, are unable to do by themselves.
So they buy less headache.
Yes.
More expertise on that specific field. Yes. And you guys deal with it.
We deal with the ambiguity, creating clarity and the customer delight.
So that kind of ties into the question about this episode. How can companies go to companies and actually successfully help them with implementing these technologies that are out there today?
So we think about today, especially in the supply chain logistics side of the business, a lot of those have been around for years, 50 years. Started with a piece of paper, back of a Post-it note, writing instructions down. We've digitized to the point where we print documents. We triple page impression. We now move to an online digital format. The challenge is that the mid-market customers around the world, and especially in Singapore, are needing to digitize to keep up with what is the digital city for Singapore.
Sure.
We talk about the Tuas Megaport project, which will be the largest man-made port in the world when it's finished. It'll move six ports into one, fully automated. Automated vehicles driving containers around the ports, on and off the ships. But as you get to the exit of the port, you still need to deal with a mom and pop business that's been around for 20, 30, 40 years. That was originally just a paper-based business. So an opportunity for us in the IT space is to look at those mid-market companies, then say to them, how can we help you digitize now to be ready for the future? Because the goal is to help them slowly adopt technology rather than the big bang. Because the big bang forces too much resistance and too much change for people to tolerate.
It is quite hard for companies to adapt to that change, isn't it?
Yes, there's a lot of owners that have said, I've always done it this way. It's always worked this way.
Yes.
And unfortunately, their runway of sight doesn't truly tie with the term business. The word having a business is something to sustain forever, for long term. So as owners of companies, understanding how do they leave a legacy of their organization as they step down eventually, which is moving to that digitization. It doesn't remove the trucks, doesn't remove the people. It still enables what is ultimately what's required is the movement of product from the purchaser to the consumer.
So I can hear a little bit of friction inside those brains that deal with decision making inside of these companies. What do they look for when implementing new technologies or not?
So the biggest challenge when you deal with the mid-market companies is logistics is a very thin margin business. So how do you give them immediate value upfront? And so working with microfinances or organizations that can do financing options, as well as implementing technology that they need today. I was talking a few weeks ago about APIs, application programming interfaces. They've been around for years, longer than I've been around. They are still required today, even when we talk about AI and agentic AI doing things for you. Because what APIs do is connect data silos. A supply chain company or a freight company may have a finance system to do their bank, their books, a warehouse management system to track their product.
Yeah.
Maybe vehicle tracking solution to know where their product is. Just by connecting those things, which is relatively easy, relatively low cost, helps them to move into that single source of truth data, which gives customers a better experience knowing where their product is, when it's going to get there. It allows efficiency in the organization, reducing cost. So rather than going to the organization and saying, I'm going to save you X amount of dollars, you talk to them about you're going to invest in creating an amount of efficiency, which means you get to do more with less. So it's a different narrative that you spin on the conversation.
That's an interesting point. You step up to these companies, not talking about what could be in 12 months from now, but what they get as an immediate value.
Yes. Yes. You imagine you have a customer, you're getting 15 pallets of product, and there's an issue with the product while it's in transit. Today, that company wouldn't let the customer know about that necessarily until the end of the day when the truck turns up and there's a problem with the pallet.
Oh.
Now, if you were to put APIs in place, which allow data to be transferred between systems at a low cost, they get immediate visibility. So a customer knows immediately that 14 of the pallets are good, one pallet is not. So at least I've got some visibility on that. And that one pallet, we can start to remediate what's required, either starting the return process, starting the redispatch process, which means the time that the stock is not available is reducing. Therefore, the stock outs, the ability to sell through, is increased because you're shortening that replacement time period. And that little change to their organization creates stickiness with the customer because the customer then knows in advance what's happening with their product. Because the biggest thing customers want to do is have visibility. And without the interconnects between systems, without technology, that visibility isn't always available.
So, what is usually the first thing you do when consulting a company in your cases or getting straight to the action? What fields, what sectors do you look at?
So when we look at the supply chain sector, you look at how they run their financials. So the internal organization piece is quite key. So what do they have available as systems? You then look at how do they manage their stock in their warehouse or their depot. Is that a manual system or is that an automated system? If those two systems are automated or at least are digitized, we can connect the two together, which gives you faster invoicing, quicker dispatch, better replenishment. If they have a fleet management system, not a lot of them do today, although that technology is available. That is a way of us helping them to track their fleet performance. So service and maintenance, vehicle usage, the vehicle driving performance, the driver usage, making sure the right driver is driving the vehicle the right way, helps to reduce insurance premiums, help to make the vehicle last longer. Because capital asset appreciation, holding that for longer and cheaper is quite important for the backing.
I can hear out that the connection between systems is the biggest lack of keeping up to date up to the technology standards nowadays. That could be also.
Yes. Yes. And Singapore just recently, I believe this year, has announced it next year to become into a force where invoices must be digital. So all those companies that today write a paper docket and then give it to you as an invoice, that needs to be digital from next year. So it's been implemented as a standard and it'll become enforced next year. So that means all these companies need to put in a system. Now, what is that system? It's got to be easy to use for multi-generation, not just your baby boomers, not just your Gen Z, your Gen X, but you also need to deal with your Gen Zs and eventually your Gen Alphas. So how do you help different generations adopt the technology where they're going from paper to digital? And remember that the idea is not to sell them big system. Large companies don't need big systems. They need an efficient system that drives outcomes and solutions. Partner with an organization so there's skin in the game. We'll go through and show you your efficiency. If the efficiency number is not met by clear metrics, there's a discount. There's a rebate applied to that. That then allows that use case to be applied to similar organizations in similar countries around the Asian nations, which have a similar structure, similar approach, which then allows for greater growth. So you're getting to more customers, more efficiency, and then everybody gets to it.
Do you think that these companies out here are well prepared for next year, which is not far from now?
There will be a lot of scrambling by organizations to become compliant to that. There will be most likely an extension of compliance requirement to allow them to actually to move across to that. The challenge is, how do you get in and help them, where you're helping them to, as I say, maintain their revenue, reduce their cost, but not so much reduce the overall spend, but shift the spend to technology, which increases efficiency. Because it's not about getting rid of people. It's about improving the productivity and efficiency of the people they already have. And that's through upskilling and training them. So helping them along their journey, being part of that organization, understanding what is their drivers.
What is the no-brainer offer that you guys put in front of your clients or potential clients to get them a taste of the sweetness of your product, I guess, and interested in more?
So the easiest way to put it forward is to manage their infrastructure.
Hmm?
So ensuring that all of the infrastructure is working in a way of which makes the organization run seamlessly. It's also putting in go back to the API context. It's making that connection to show them the immediate value. Because as we hear in the world, AI, data is gold. If you can get that data out of the organization, which is currently in silos, and help them to monetize that data, it helps them to do business better. We also look at large organizations like an IT, where we service the GSIs that service customers. In the freight industry, lots of mid-market small players service the large freight companies. They service them through EDI, through electronic data interchange, through transferring of data. By enabling their connectivity with larger companies, they will get more business. They will be able to grow themselves in supporting those larger freight companies.
This is how they can monetize their data?
Yes, because they'll be able to give efficiency and data to those companies, which can then give that information to their clients. So you imagine today you order a device from Ireland, Cork in Ireland, and you order it here from Singapore and you want it delivered. Today you look online and you see it's in transit. It's left poor. There are solutions available for you to take your mobile phone, put in the device number, the serial number, and it takes you to the container that it's sitting on. Real time. That data is available mainly for large companies. So how do the smaller companies get part of that journey? They provide that same level of data. Therefore, they're used more often as the preferred freight supplier for that last mile, that next leg of journey, which gives that real-time monitoring and tracking of the product, which allows people that buy the product, whether it's one device or a pallet of devices or container devices, to know where it is. They can plan to communicate to their clients or their suppliers where the product is. And that data sharing is the really important piece. Sharing of the data, anonymized, secure, and protected, ensuring that that is available, will allow them to get more business from other companies as they can ensure transparency of information.
If I came to you as a potential customer owning a manufacturing company or whatever, could you prepare me for that if I asked for exactly what you just mentioned?
So we would sit down with you and understand, what are your systems? What have you got in place today? What are your processes? Because in a lot of cases, you don't need to buy new. You just need to know how to connect existing.
Well,
So rather than saying you've got to move to the cloud, you need this big ERP system, you need this big system, you don't. In a lot of cases, it's just understanding where the data is stored, how it's connected, how it's used, the quality of the data, understanding what are the drivers of the business. So as a manufacturing company, you've got your own build to order, make stock, either stock to store or stock to sell, just in time, different approaches. That data you then can peg to a logistics company and say, I want my customer to know where the product is from the time that they place the order. I put it through my factory and then it goes onto your truck. I want to be able to share that information. And so freight companies that have that capability will then be more likely to be able to be signed on. You get a better quality of service. Your customer will then buy more from you as the manufacturer, leveraging this company, that's the logistics company, to deliver.
so the digital infrastructure is actually there, but it's not being used properly since the lack of connectivity is there.
Yes. Yes. Because a lot of times in that mid-market space, the IT team, bless them, they are there as a mechanic. They fix and they grow and they bolt on. They don't necessarily understand the larger data strategy, which has come around. So data is a new industry. You've got data scientists, data engineers, data analysts, product data owners. All of these different roles have been created because that data that sits in the organization is really important. IT traditionally has been fix it, make it grow, make it work. We're expanding, add some more, add another 3 computers, add some more access points. But capturing that information and turning that data actually into usable information that you can actually increase the value of efficiency, performance, and predictability, that will drive better outcomes for your business. And that's the piece where organizations, consultants that can do that stuff adds the value to the organization and helps them grow and be present and relevant in that.
Imagine a world in what we just discussed is already given. What would the next level be?
So if everybody was interconnected and the data was shared, the dream of total interconnectedness is that I order something and then the port in Singapore says there's congestion and the ship slows down a day out so that it arrives on time. The next step is to take it further in that whole customer experience, the whole environmental experience. How do you optimize the efficiency of every step of the supply chain, every step of the organization, to make sure that we deliver the best value through sustainability? So making sure that the information you send is the thinnest, leanest, therefore the amount of power used to ship it, send. The compute that's necessary of the information is the lowest amount necessary to generate the answers that you need. All of those things are positive because it reduces the impact on the environment through heat, through water, through energy, which makes it a better place in the world to be when we focus on in creating the efficiency in the data that we've stored.
So, to summarize that a little bit, once the data is available to everyone, not everyone, but all the relevant parties, it is then about to optimize all the parts of the process towards the data being the most useful, I guess.
Yes. So we talk about digital twins. So digital twins is a digital representation of your physical environment. If we think of a supply chain digital twin, today we think of digital twins as a digital twin of an engine, a digital twin of a building. We think of a digital supply chain. What happens if we change the speed that ship goes at? What's the wear and tear on that engine? What's the wear and tear on the ship? If that truck was to travel this way rather than that way, we increase the efficiency of the vehicle. We reduce the service and maintenance costs that are required on the vehicle. So all of those data points, the more data points you put together, the more you can optimize the digital twin to then transfer that into the real world to get that efficiency out of it. Without the data, you're not able to do that. You can think maybe if I take the AYE versus the PIE, I'll get there faster. But with that digital twin information, real time feeding in, you're able to say in advance, if we go this way, we will actually save power. We will actually save wear and tear on the machine. We'll get greater customer satisfaction. We'll be able to provide the customer with better insights on predictability of what they need versus what they've ordered.
I can hear a little bit of an opportunity about simulation, I guess, to simulate real world operations inside a digital environment to drive the best possible out.
Yes, yes, and that is a connected city, digital city, optimistic view. When we think about organizations being willing to share data, if we can get that data sharing agreement anonymized, protected, and secured, that will help us on that journey to that digitization. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the physical action has a cause and effect. And if we can optimize that cause and effect through digital to reduce the impact of the cause and effect and increase the efficiency and productivity, that's a win for everyone.
Okay. Now, especially for me, relevant, where could I start to help companies do that?
So you can start by looking at organizations that are mid-market organizations. So looking through Singapore, or Malaysia or in the Asian region, looking at companies that have been around for a long time, that have multiple vehicles for delivery, for logistics, a few depots, because those are the ones that are not likely to be digitized. Your large ones like your Kuehne+Nagel's, your Tolls, your DHLs, your CMS, CJAMs, They are fully digitized, fully connected, tracked and traced. You look at the levels below that and say, what's available, who's in that market space? What is their model? Is their model, depot to depot or depot to door? So which options are they flying with? Because depot to depot is a different model because that's going from one main location to another, bulk shipping, versus depot to door is more like your courier dispatching.
Yeah.
They are usually more digitized in what they do because they're leveraging existing applications that are out there for the vehicles to be transitioned on. So that's that mid space of large bulk haulage. And there's a number of those companies that are just in Singapore and across Asia that can have that opportunity to help them in understanding their business and talking to them about how do I help you sustain your long-term success through the change of digitization, through making small steps today that will help you be ready for when you need to fully digitize to connect to other organizations. Because if you can connect today to another organization digitally, you're one step ahead of the competition.
Okay. So just trying to consult them in some way and lay them a clear path on how to walk towards the future where all these things we just discussed are probably going to be necessary to just operate.
Yes. Yeah. And as we see vehicle technology move forward, you've got the electric vehicle that coming forward, you've got electric trucks coming forward, you've got vehicle telemetry solutions for vehicle tracking, carbon net zero. They all will help to improve the efficiency of the vehicle and therefore the delivery of the product. It also reduces the insurance requirements because you've got better control on the vehicle asset. Therefore, the cost of capital goes down. Therefore, the more money is available for you to spend on other things that add value.
Yeah.
So as an owner of an organization, how do I get shareholder value? Well, I reduce costs on my operational costs, my insurance costs, my capital costs. All of those are done through efficient use of the equipment and of the people that are in the organization. And so guiding them through their multi-generational workforce, as well as through the technology steps they need to go through. Because we think about a truck's going to have a long shelf life. How do you get best efficiency out of the truck? There are telemetry solutions that will give you the data today that you need through SIM card, which will allow you to then be more efficient tomorrow. That small step into their vehicles will allow them to also reduce insurance costs, reduce their petrol bill, reduce their oil costs by adding those things to it. And it doesn't have to be the bleeding edge solution. It's a solution that gives them the pieces that they need. That data is what you plug into your CRM system, into your customer experience system, to allow your customers to see exactly where their product is.
Do you have an idea about how much inefficiency there is?
I don't have an exact number, but I would imagine it would be around 30 to 40% in minimum inefficiency in the supply chain. And that's just because of the amount of times you see people carrying paper to places, the delay in paper arriving, the delay in store and forward. We have connectivities. As people in the world, we have 1-2 mobile phones. We're always connected to data. But as organizations, that adoption of technology into the vehicles is hesitant to pass because we've always done it this way. Why do we need to digitize? It's always worked. And so that mind shift, saying if they've already got the device available, it's already there, giving that faster time to data allows you to invoice and receive cash sooner. Therefore, you can do stuff with it sooner, which helps you as a business.
Now, since logistics is a really fragmented industry, I see a problem that once company A completely digitizes, it almost drives, of course, it drives some benefit to them, but if other players don't pull with them, the benefit is not really exploited.
And that's where somebody like yourself working with both that organization and their partners, their ecosystem of network, guiding them on that journey as well helps to be the voice of choice to be able to go to the next organization, which then partners that both of them get benefit. So imagine one organization gets 25% benefit out of the solution. You add the next organization, they get 25%, but this primary organization gets another 5%. So the more people you add to the ecosystem, the more connected the ecosystem is, the more everybody wins. And the person that leads the drive tends to be able to be the one that helps to initiate and guide the journey, and ultimately are on the journey for longer, therefore have realized the savings for a longer period of time. And in turn, make more money.
That was very insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here to recap a little bit about what we just discussed. It is about how to prepare for the future instead of doing everything at the same time, which is a lot of friction and a lot of stress for a company.
Yes.
It is about how to prepare them successfully for the future, so they can keep up with the requirements, and also with the big companies out there that have obviously the most power to sustain in the market, even though if, let's say, they lack in digitization or other things. Is there one thing that you would like to solve if you had a magic wand?
It's data sharing. It's data sharing. So we think about shipping companies, so the maritime sector, the stevedorians on the ports, the freight companies, the rail corridors, all of those organizations. If we can get all of that data shared in a common platform, that will create a more streamlined supply chain industry with a lower impact on our environment, and therefore making the world a better place. And that is the ultimate goal. Is how do we create the efficiency through sharing of data rather than holding on to it, trying to be in control of it, where in fact you're not helping the greater cause, which is humanity.
The ability to share.
Yes.
The gold of this era, data.
Yes.
Okay. So for anyone who felt like Simon and TECEZE could help with specific problems and specific solutions, where can they find you?
So you can go onto the internet and go onto TECEZE, that's technology made easy, TECEZE.com, or reach out to me, Simon Burney, on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to talk with you and help you on your journey.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
That was a great conversation.
Awesome. Thank you.